Afternoon, Cherries fans. My name's Craig, and welcome to our latest in the back of the net opposition chats. After a fantastic win at the weekend against Reading, we host Nottingham Forest at Dean Court. Again, it's live on Sky and at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Today, I'm joined by Liam, a Forest fan who can regularly be heard on the Engine Room podcast. Afternoon, Liam. How are you doing?
Hi, Craig. You're right, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
Good.
Before we start, I understand you have a bit of experience within football, Liam, with both Bradford and Leeds as an analyst. Do tell us a little bit more about what that actually involves.
Yeah, so fortunately, when I was at university, I was able to have a bit of an internship working at Leeds United and at Bradford City, mainly as a performance analyst. So with Leeds, it was involved with the academy, so working with the under-9s up to the under-18s. And then at Bradford City was working with the first team alongside Stuart McCall and then some of the other analysts that were working there just to give game feedback, analysis on the players, and then going in at half-time and at full-time and, diagnosing the game and seeing where we can improve.
Oh, fantastic. So on to this weekend's game. Forest have recently made a managerial change with Chris Hughton joining. He has had multiple promotions from the Championship with both Brighton and Newcastle. What was the Forest faithful reaction to his appointment, Liam?
Yes, I think originally, obviously, a lot of Forest fans were upset and with the departure of Lamouchi. I think we can all recognise that we've grown an affiliation with him and was very happy under the majority last season until the famous collapse. But following his departure, I think Chris Hughton was one of the more sensible appointments that we could have hoped for. Experience, as you just said, with Newcastle and Brighton, and I felt like personally he could actually work with the squad that was there, which was probably one of the bigger requirements considering we made 14 new signings over the summer. So he's actually come in and provided some continuity and solidity. Comparing Lamouchi in the first 4 games of the season to Hughton, I think Hughton's actually only used 18 players in the starting 11 over the 8 games he's been in charge versus the 21 different players that Lamouchi was using in the first 4. So he's added that continuity and solidity, especially in defence, and hopefully despite a loss the other day, he'll provide us with a bit of stability at the club now.
And as you say, Forest currently sit 20th, which, to be fair, I expected them to be a lot higher than that, with 12 points from 12 games. Last season, there was that collapse, as you mentioned, Liam. What went wrong in that strange circumstances?
Yes, I think it all started after the Derby game. So we went to Pride Park and we dominated for 90 minutes. Joe Worrell come out and made a silly foul and the ball gets pumped in the box and they score a last-minute equaliser or a late equaliser. From there, it led to a lack of confidence, chopping and changing. I don't think Lamouchi started to trust some of the players. It just all started from there. Before our last away win at Brighton on Hughton's first game, Forest had actually only been in winning positions for 15 minutes since the 11th of July. So that is the time frame of the 11th of July and 17th of October, only in winning positions for 15 minutes. So it all culminated from that Derby lack of confidence, chopping and changing, Lamouchi questioning what's going on. And then going into the start of this season, a real lack of confidence. A lot of people thought that potentially it would be a case of quick turnaround. Let's get out of the memory, back the manager, and try and go again. When in actual fact, he made 14 new signings, which is ludicrous to be quite frank. To then going in and then changing the backroom staff to try and help Lamouchi, and then that just culminated in the same problems as last season. And not really taking chances as well. So under Sabri in the first 4 games, he was averaging a nearly 1.5 XG a game. However, we were still conceding just under two goals a game. So that's where the real problems started, to be honest.
And one of those new signings, well, 2 that you've had, 2 ex-Bournemouth players, but one of those is Lyle Taylor, whose career actually has taken off since playing for Wimbledon. How's he been so far?
Yeah, I think he's been a great addition to the squad. Obviously, he had a bit of conflict with Charlton towards the back end of his time there, saying he didn't want to sign a contract and he didn't want to play after the restart last season. Fortunate enough, I think it's been a great addition for us. A lot of people see him as a very sort of similar player to Grabban. I think Grabban doesn't get the praise for off the ball work that he does as much, but Taylor definitely puts in that effort, off the ball intensity, high pressing, and works hard for the team. He's actually come in and done a pretty good job since Grabban has had to drop out due to injury. And I would actually think that Taylor probably gets the first team spot ahead of Grabban going forward for the time being, and Grabban might actually struggle to get back in.
And actually, just picking up on that as well, Lewis Grabban, of course, ex-Cherries player as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, did fantastic stuff for us. You know, he's been a bit of a revelation up there as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been an excellent player. You know, Forest haven't had many great strikers in the last decade or so, and he's definitely up there. Really good goal scorer. I think first season he come in, he wasn't working hard for the team, and he was trying to be a bit about himself, and obviously that was reflected in the Sunderland documentary where he decided to leave. But he actually works hard. He grafts off the ball. He's a goal scorer. He's got that natural instinct, and I think he's an excellent player. And he's slowly becoming of age. He's being linked with moves to potential linking up with Lamucci in Qatar. So I wouldn't be surprised if Grabban moved on in the not too near future. But then again, Houghton likes a striker who can score a goal like Glenn Murray, and so we'll see what happens there.
And of course, the other Cherries player that you've had come in, he is Harry Arter, who is an absolute legend. We was devastated to see him leave. However, it was understandable circumstances, to be fair. How's his time at Forest started so far?
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag. So as I touched on earlier, you know, Forest have made 14 new signings in the new summer, and we now have 5 or 6 different CMs, central defensive midfielders. So game time is not going to be coming at a premium for Arter necessarily. You know, he has that great experience and leadership. He scored. He played really well for Fulham in the Championship last season, and you know, he's got some good experience with you guys, so we should be utilising him. However, when you compare him to the other centre midfielders that we actually have at the club, they're all of a very similar ilk. Pretty steady centre midfielders, want to give the ball to other people to get the attacking sense running. However, Forest are really lacking that progressive centre midfielder, and you really have to look at the likes of Arter and Colback, who had that passing ability. However, we need him to be more penetrative with it.
And from our perspective, we're looking forward to, you know, potentially seeing Arter and Jefferson Lerma having a right duel in the centre on Tuesday night. What is the chances of Arter playing?
I think it's fairly likely. The rotation between the midfield three and the in a double pivot has been between Yates, Arter, and Colback. The two mainstays are Colback, who's been captaining, and Yates. So we potentially might see some rotation with the heavy fixture list coming in soon around the Christmas period. So there is definitely a chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Arter sitting on the bench. Especially after the performance away at Barnsley, who, in actual fact, we played pretty well despite the goal line of 2-0. Hugh come out and said he was happy with the performance. So not 100% sure if he'll get in, but he's definitely on the fringes and could definitely at least get on the pitch anyway.
With regards to that Barnsley game, just jumping back to that, Liam, of course, you was beaten 2-0. It was a game that, to be fair, on paper, I would have thought Forest would have walked away with the 3 points there.
Yeah, you are very right there. So we've not had a great time at Oakwell in the last 4 months. Obviously, the second to last game of last season, the last away game. We went there and needed a point from the last couple of games to secure the playoff positions. However, went there, changed the team. Lamucci didn't know particularly what he was doing, coming or going with the first team selection. Played a back five away at Barnsley and literally just wants to play for the 0-0. And we got absolutely played off the park. Went there in the first round of EFL Cup this season, and similar sort of performance, lacking no confidence. And to be fair, we played pretty well on Saturday, especially the first half, dominated for long spells, had 2 or 3 great chances, Guerrero missing 2 really good chances for us. And if you don't take your chances at this sort of level, you get punished. And they brought on fresh legs towards the end of the half and end of the second half, and that's what won them the game.
Are they a bit of a bogey team, really, for Forest? Are they, Barnsley?
They have been, considering we've played them at OPPO now 3 times over the last 4 months and lost every time. I don't think teams such as Barnsley get the credit we deserve, especially now they're going for that sort of foreign style of football with a different coach who's got different ideas. They've actually got a really good squad. Players like Mowat are still there. So, they're a good team, and people are wrong to underestimate them.
And talking about the rest of the Forest squad, of course, you alluded to the 14 new signings that come in for Forest. Massive amount. Any players in particular that Cherries fans should watch out for tomorrow night?
Yeah, so I think off the back of the performance at the weekend, Knockout is one who we should really be looking out for. He potentially struggled his first couple of games when he's come in. Looked like he wasn't necessarily match fit and he was trying too hard. But he's starting to find his feet in his performances, and he was actually really good, especially first half on Saturday away at Barnsley. He's got the second most expected assists in the team for the season, and he's got like 5.5, 6 dribbles per 90, and he adds that real threat going forward. Not so much in behind. He likes to drift in and come into the half space and take on the midfielders, and I imagine that'll line up for an interesting matchup between him and the likes of his centre midfielders such as Lerma and co.
Yeah. And of course, with the slow start so far this season, but also the strength of the Forest squad, what is really the expectation now, Liam?
Yes, so I think I'm probably a little bit more of a pessimist as opposed to a lot of football fans. I try to be realistic and maintain a steady sort of head. Looking at it now, we sit 20th. We made 40 new signings, new manager. I think for me, Forest fans have realistically got to be expecting a mid-table finish this season. Realistically, it's a period of transition. We're still learning and gelling as a team, especially with all the new signings and new coach. For me, we should be targeting a top half mid-table finish. For me, that'd be seen as a success, and then build on that from next season. That once the players have been bedded in, and we get a bit more use out of some of the squad players who are still on the fringes at the moment. But this being said, Forest fans will expect a lot more, as you said. People and outside of the club expect us to be doing a lot better than that. So we'll have to see going forward. But for me, it would be a mid-table finish for me. Let's build a bit of confidence and momentum going into next season, and find the squad and the players that can be the nucleus of the team.
And do tell us a little bit more, Liam, about the Engine Room podcast.
Yeah, so this is a podcast with myself and one of my colleagues who I work with, Jack. So essentially, on a weekly basis, we'll get in and get an agenda based off the Premier League football or potentially even the EFL football and discuss stats, bets, players' performances, transfers, just pretty much everything you need to know about football and what's going on in the footballing world. And yeah, we release that every week on a Tuesday or Wednesday where we can. And it's a new podcast. So any listeners who fancy coming across, give us a follow on Twitter at Engine Room Pod, and we look forward to seeing you there. We actually work for an online betting company as traders, so don't expect all the winning tips from us, but we try to do our best to point in the right direction.
Fantastic. What I'll do is I'll make sure that the link is in all the description below. So anybody who does want to join and follow, do give it a follow on there as well. And before I do let you go, Liam, I better I better ask you, be rude for me not to. What's your prediction for tomorrow night?
You put me on the spot now. I'm, as I said, I'm quite a pessimistic Forest fan. I'd love to. This is the first real bad game of a long run. Looking at teams around us or where we'd like to be in the top 6, top 8. Yeah. So points are going to come at a premium. So I'll take everything I can get. I'll snatch your hand off for a 1-1 draw already. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game and it's the start of a tough run. So let's get a point on the board, and I'll definitely take that. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, fair enough. To be fair with ourselves, in the past 2 games, personally, I think we played very well in both halves against Reading. We did come up against a very decent side, but the wheels did fall off them second half. Also, we made our quality count. So, I'm confident that we can get a result. I think hopefully, 2 or 3-1. But yeah, we'll see. At the end of the day, Forest is never an easy team to play against. We've always had some good battles against yourself. So yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. But thank you for coming on today, Liam. I really appreciate your insight into what Forest are likely to do tomorrow, and also a bit more about your podcast as well. It's very interesting to have a look at it, and I'll definitely follow myself.
Great, thank you very much, Craig. Cheers for having me.
Not a problem at all, Liam. All the best.
Cheers mate. Thank you.
Just before I let you guys go, of course, we have got our interview with Kevin Bond. That is coming up on Wednesday evening, so do make sure that you follow for that. Following the Forest game, we'll have our famous free-for-alls, so feel free to jump in, leave your comments. Also, Tej will also be doing his player ratings, and I'll be back for an opposition preview ahead of Rotherham, where maybe we might have some special guests, but we'll see. Well, until next time, remember to hit the subscribe button, and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.